Oh man, FanDuel, how you been, man? It's been a while. Just been a little busy with work and a few other things. Um, but glad to be back. Pretty much busy with work. Hung out, caught up with a bunch of friends, and then me and my brother had a great time in Barclays watching the Wilder fight, which was also an entertaining card underneath it. Shout out to my brother. Follow that man, Cash519 on IG. That's Cash with a K. But yeah, been away for a bit, and also hockey's been around, so it's kind of interrupted and got into my personal research and everything. But I'm gonna be dedicated and do this. The only reason why this is a very late edition and called part one of the week 6 review because hey, it's late. I gotta get to work, so I'm gonna start off with just some general news and I'm gonna knock out the QB and pretty much the running back part. And then tomorrow, after I get my lineups ready for opening NBA season, tomorrow's 2 game DFS slate. I will record wide receivers and tight ends. That pretty much goes hand in hand, and then finish it off with defense and special teams. And I'll continue that video also with other notes if I have any. But hey, let's get started with the general news. Number one, we all got I think we're all excited to. Well, this is the one bit of wide receiver. Well, there's a bit of wide receiver news. First, DeAndre Hopkins is back, so I know a lot of us are going to be happy with that. And we're going to keep on with the Cardinals. Along with DeAndre coming back from the 6 game PED suspension, they actually made a trade today for Robbie Anderson from Carolina. Seems pretty much a coincidence because I guess they was ready to get him shipped out of there after he had the argument with the coach. You don't see many times a player gets sent off the bench and into the locker room. So he's now a Cardinal. He'll be their deep threat. DeAndre Hopkins is also their all-around threat. DeAndre Hopkins pretty much goes deep. He pretty much is he's pretty much an all-around wide receiver for them. So yeah, some more weapons for Kyler Murray, but it sucks that Marquise Brown is, from what the reports are, is a significant foot injury. And when it's a significant foot injury, that does sound like a Liz Frank injury. Now, I didn't. There was a bunch of games that I was able to stream online and look at, but that was definitely a game that I did not watch, so I did not see the injury happen. But news is it is a significant one, and if you made a trade or you pick up somebody off the street, like how Denver did when Javonte Williams got hurt, then yeah, that sounds like a season-ending injury. So sorry for Hollywood Brown. He was definitely developing a good repertoire with Kyler Murray, one of the few bright spots of that offense. But foot injury takes him away. So Robbie Anderson gets a new leash on life. I think he's definitely somebody to look at. But we won't be able to play him because he's one of the teams that are not on the slate. Before we get to that part of the slate review, what we're going to do is also talk about the trade rumors of McCaffrey. Um, I kind of find it shocking. It seems like they're on. It seems like Carolina is the NFL version of the Utah Jazz, and just blowing it up and seeing that this ain't working. I think by the time this is over, I think by the time this season is over, I think his contract is up. So it's pretty obvious they will not be bringing back their quarterback and maybe a few other pieces as well. But man, it's a bit of it's a bit of a mess in Carolina. So I'm actually shocked that they were actually shopping McCaffrey and listening to offers. Nothing has popped up yet, but McCaffrey being traded, that's pretty big. Getting McCaffrey, any team that gets McCaffrey, it's a big plus. He's had an okay year so far. Hasn't busted. Hasn't had a breakout game either, but he's been pretty okay. They're pretty much working him back into a you know, regular role. They don't want to overwhelm him or anything like that. But shopping McCaffrey, do they even shop Baker too? Like, do they do the whole thing? Like, who would actually take Baker anyway? But I don't know. If you're trading McCaffrey the way that team is, and I think what DJ Moore just signed a contract, you're definitely looking for a rebuild. But other than that, That's the major news. Obviously, stay tuned for anything else to the with the trade deadline coming up. And for the slate review, we'll just start off with the basic news. There will be no Buffalo, LA Rams, and there will be no Minnesota Vikings, and there will be no Philly. Those four teams are on bye. There will be no Pittsburgh, and there will be, let me see, no Pittsburgh, no Chicago, no New England. They're the Monday night game. Pittsburgh and Miami, they are the Sunday night game. And you're not gonna have New Orleans or Arizona on the slate either. They're the upcoming Thursday game. So big names that you will not be seeing. Obviously, Marquise Brown is injured, but there will be no Kyler Murray. You cannot use Alvin Kamara. You cannot look for Claypool or Najee Harris. Any of the wide receiver core for New England, Ramondre Stevenson. You can't, and then most importantly, no Josh Allen, no Stephon Diggs, no Gabe Davis, no no LA defense, no Justin Jefferson, no Cooper Cup, and most importantly, probably no Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, or Devontae Smith, or Sanders. So a lot of big names are out this week, and let's get to this quick overview of the first two positions. We'll start with the quarterbacks and wide receivers, then we'll end this part one. Part two will be tomorrow. We'll start with QB, obviously with some of the big dogs out. Lamar's the top dog at 88. Look for Lamar to I like Lamar at 88 because I think he knows he threw that game away. That was a horrible pass that he threw in the Giant game. So I think he'll be looking to redeem himself against Cleveland at home. Patrick Mahomes will also be looking to get back in the win column again, but against a tough defense as well. He'll be going against another tough defense in San Francisco on the road this time, not at home, at 8,500. Right now, one of my favorite plays this week, without a doubt, would be Joe Burrow at home against Atlanta at 83. And if you're not liking that, then I think everybody who's a fantasy person knows when it comes to scoring points. Now, yes, they did stand up and do their thing and hold down Arizona, but Arizona's another struggling offense. Like, it's not as bad as struggling like Denver, who should have not lost the game that just happened. You were supposed to get away from the punter. I've known this. When I started football, I was just special teams. I was the third string running back. Get away, fair catch. Special teams. I learned that 10th grade. Get the fuck away. Anyway, I'm done venting. But anyway, yeah, but if you're not liking Burrow against Atlanta, then I think a lot of people, fantasy-wise, the output, they're looking at San Diego and Seattle. San Diego will be home. And most importantly, Herbert should have Keenan Allen. Now, here's the thing. I've seen it for years. We're not doctors here, but when you know fantasy, you already kind of know the injury report, the injury report status. He was working out, but he was going to be doubtful. They weren't going to play him, Keenan Allen, today. There is still that slight possibility. I expect him to play. But when a guy is coming off an injury or about to come off an injury, and the bye week is coming up, do not be surprised they hold out Keenan Allen for next week, because then he has the bye week, which gives him 2 extra weeks to be ready for when he comes back in week 9. Yeah, week 9. So, but do I expect Keenan Allen to come back? He seemed to be trending that way. Like, he was pretty iffy, but then this is a Monday night game, and he was like doubtful like Thursday, Friday. So we'll see. Derek Carr's a nice option against, it's a pretty decent defense, but it's still Houston. That's from here on out. Herbert's at 8,100. From here on out, it drops all the way to 76 and lower. So I think there's some decent QBs you can get down here. Brady's gonna want revenge. You already know how angry Brady gets, and against Carolina, that looks like a good comeback spot at 74. Dak looks like he's definitely gonna come back, and what's the best spot to come back from than to come back at home against the Lions, who are the worst defense in the league. He's at 75, but that's if he comes back. Mariota's been playing well, and he could do it on his feet. 7,100 at Cincinnati. Yes, he's struggling, but as long as he's not going against the toughest defense in the world, like I said, Washington still hasn't proven anything, even with Chase Young back at the defense end. Y'all heard me talk about Chase. Aaron Rodgers at 71 seems to be a nice play. It is a nice matchup. Yes, it's on the road, but it is a nice matchup against Washington. I understand he has not been doing his thing, but when you're picking certain spots in daily fantasy, as in you're not stuck with this guy in season long fantasy, Aaron Rodgers to me is worth a look. And then you got I mean, he did look better tonight. Russell Wilson at home against the Jets, 7K. I mean, like Rodgers could be a decent stack. You could probably get Rodgers, Lazard for cheap, Wilson, Sutton, Wilson, Judy for cheap, and then you got Daniel Jones at Jacksonville. You know he could carry a game. Hey, if Giants lose that game, they lose that game. But you know Daniel Jones is good to making a few runs for like 70 something yards, and hopefully he doesn't turn over the ball too much and throws a touchdown. You don't need him to go for 30, even though you would like to. But at 6,900, you don't need him to go for 30. He'll do what he needs to do if he scores you 17.9 to like 21 points. But that's the quick overview right there for the QBs. Running backs, top plays. Hey man, it's gonna be Eckler against. He's gonna have an easy matchup. He had a rough matchup against Denver. Denver's one of the best defenses, but he'll be in Seattle. He's up to 95. So now he's the one that's touching Jonathan Taylor territory. Saquon, he's the workhorse. If he goes down, the Giants go down. So, but do be careful about this. For those who did watch the game, there was a few times that he got hit real hard and fell on that shoulder. So Saquon's not 100%. Now you see some of the replays where he's wincing and sometimes he needs to be taken out. So hopefully he could hold up until like whenever the Giants bye week is. Hopefully it's coming up soon. That shoulder definitely could use 2 weeks of no contact at all. Derrick Henry versus Indy, 9,200. Pretty much the fantasy. Pretty much right now he's neck and neck with I think for fantasy MVP this year. Nick Chubb at Baltimore, 8.9. The other two people who I think are fantasy MVP. Actually, to tell you the truth, I really got Cooper Kupp number 4 for this year. I know he's great, but I think it's a toss up 1A, 1B, 1C to me. You got Josh Allen, you got Nick Chubb, and you got Justin Jefferson. It's been amazing for those guys all year. McCaffrey versus Tampa Bay. Does he get traded before the game? Who knows? But 8,700, tough matchup. But I mean, for McCaffrey, that is pretty cheap. But I mean, who knows? I mean, when you trade away one of the wide receivers and one of the deep threats, does that mean they give him the ball more in the slot? I mean, I don't want to go through a rundown of like every player named price, but McCaffrey at 8,700, you lose Robbie Anderson. I think this could be one of those games where you can get McCaffrey, and Tampa Bay is a pass funnel, so you might get McCaffrey getting 10 attempts, but you also might get him getting 7 to 12 receptions. I know it sounds crazy, but coming out of the flat and no Robbie Anderson, look for McCaffrey's receptions to go way up. Well, at least reception targets and opportunities. Right now, to me, the best running back the past 2 weeks in fantasy has been Josh Jacobs. He has a nice matchup home against Houston, 8,600. I think Josh Jacobs has almost 300 yards in the past 2 weeks. Without even counting the touchdowns, he has about almost 300 yards. I think it's a stat of like 273 or 283, something like that. But it's up there. And then of course you got to worry about these two guys. I got these two guys bracketed next to each other. You got Jonathan Taylor at Tennessee and DeAndre Swift. Swift, like I said, there was talk about him practicing lightly, but like I said, they didn't play him the week before. Detroit's bye week came up. I think Swift plays next week at Dallas, and you got Jonathan Taylor. Sprained ankle is a lot different from a twisted ankle, so just got to monitor those. Taylor's at an even 8K, and then of course if Swift is out, they did once again. Williams, his backup, is the same price as him at Dallas. Then you got my man Pierce. You got my man Damian Pierce at Las Vegas. They can't be run on. He's at 7,700. Look, I'm just saying his name because out of respect. But the Denver defense, besides the Josh Jacobs game, nobody can run on him. But he's been running pretty hot. You can't get him for cheap no more. He's at 7,600. If you want to go against Denver's defense, Brees Hall, if you want to. Mixon versus Atlanta, he's at 74. Mixon has also been playing well with a lot of opportunity. Cincinnati is pretty even. Now with the wide receivers, it gets a little weird where it's gonna go targeted, but mainly it's all about Burrow, Mixon. It's really about that trio. It's really about that trio with these guys with Chase, Mixon, and Burrow. I mean, yes, T Higgins and Boyd are there, but it's really mainly those three. And then to wrap up the running backs, we'll get into the low sevens. We'll continue right under that. We got Kenneth Walker the third at Los Angeles. Pete Carroll does like to emphasize the run, so I think he's a good solid choice against at the Los Angeles Chargers. Ezekiel Elliott, cheap price, but like I said, he's against a soft defense. I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's getting slow, he's old, he's not the same. Rather take Pollard, but still Zeke is still the guy that starts. He still gets his touches. I mean, it's not like they're phasing him out. It's just that Pollard just looks better sometimes. I mean, when you pull up the stats and everything, like Zeke is still getting. He's not getting the targets. He's not really getting that. But he's still getting 15, 15, 19, 22, 13 carries. He's still getting opportunities. And he's the goal line back. If they get close to the line, he's getting the goal line touches. So, yeah, Zeke is not Zeke. But for 69 against Detroit, I think he's a solid pick. Especially ownership, because ownership would not be going his way. That's an offense, especially if Dak is there too. That's an offense that will move the ball, and he could probably get 2 goal line touchdowns and get maybe 13 to 17 carries with 2 touchdowns. May only have like 69, 73 yards, but in fantasy, those touchdowns count way more than them damn yards. We go a little lower. Green Bay, Aaron Jones. You know the story with him. It's Aaron Jones, but it seems like Aaron Jones has been pulling away from AJ Dillon a bit. So, I mean, he definitely does see it, but and he does get more receptions. He's more the receiver, even though Rodgers has been throwing it to both. Aaron Jones against Washington for 6,800 definitely does look good. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I'll just bring up his name or whatever because they are passing him the ball. He's running the ball, but he's going against a tough San Francisco defense. Does Kenyon Drake take over for J.K. Dobbins? J.K. Dobbins is hurt. I don't think Kenyon Drake is going to do what he did last week, home against Cleveland. Kenyon Drake pretty much damn near broke the slate with a 19.2, but he broke the slate because nobody had his ass. So if you were lucky enough to draft him, then hey, you definitely cast and did something right. Like I said, J.K. Dobbins also at the same price, 66. He hurt his knee. Right now the status is limited, knee tightened up. Technically, it's the knee that he had his surgically repaired. Remember, J.K. Dobbins wasn't doing much, and they was easing him in, giving him like no more than like 10 touches a game before they started ramping him up. But it seems like there's a little setback there. When there's a setback, I'm not touching J.K. Dobbins because they're just going to reduce his work. That's why Kenyon Drake looks like the better play. Then you have Tony Pollard. Like I said, look for Tony. Tony Pollard could be another good play because he could definitely break one against Detroit. He's down to 65. And then as you keep going lower, it starts to look pretty ugly. Why do I say that? Not because of Travis Etienne, Jeff Wilson. Oh man, he got benched after that fumble. And then also at 6,300, you got Melvin Gordon. It looks like he's falling out of favor out of Denver. I'm a Denver guy. That looks like one of those, like he could be on his way out. I don't know. I mean, you lost Javante, you brought in Latavius and Boone. Those are kind of like putting band-aids on a bullet wound. Not the best solution, but if you find somebody that you could trade him for, or because if y'all watched that game, he was not happy and not getting into that game at all. I think the last time I saw Melvin Gordon carry the ball like mid-second, and then he was rocking the bench. Third quarter, he had his headband on, no helmet. By the fourth quarter, headband was gone, and he was just there chilling. And the look on his face, he was not happy. So that's another piece of news right there that I definitely feel. Knowing my team, that's definitely what it is. And after that, I don't really see much other than 5,800 Kareem Hunt, 5,800 James Robinson. And that's pretty much it. And AJ Dillon's all the way down to 5,700. Like I said, those two guys used to be close together. Aaron Jones has now, it seems like it's not the shared committee, shared 50-50 split as the Zeke Tony Pollard thing is. Like Aaron Jones has really taken that over. And that's pretty much it. There's nothing really else in the running backs unless trades come up and other news pop up. But right now, that's the review for the running back slate. Right now, it's about 12:40 in the morning. So I hope you guys enjoyed the news. It's a quick little video. Like I said, part two will be done tomorrow while the basketball slate starts. Look forward to watching basketball, playing a little basketball as well. But my DFS focus mainly is hockey and football, and I'll sprinkle basketball in there when I have the chance. But yeah, everybody enjoy the 2 game slate tomorrow. Hope everybody has a good night. Wake up well rested. We're already in the second day of the week. Weekend will be soon here. Just be patient. And yeah, I'm back. Just got to figure a lot of things out because now my DFS attention is not more to football. It's now into hockey and everything. But, we'll see how it goes. I'm going to do my best to keep at least this week's going to be 3 informative videos. And yes, I keep saying it. Yes, I will damn sure get grade A picks. My sportsbook picks will be out. It's not all about fantasy on FanDuel Sportsbook for you guys that like to, get your FanDuel on. I will definitely get those picks out. But yeah, tomorrow's basketball. And I like to play my short slates Wednesdays and Friday this week for hockey, like 3 games on the schedule. So more than likely, you will most likely see me Thursday with, tomorrow you're going to get part 2 to this. And on Thursday, you'll get like further injury news, fantasy news as well on top of that. And then, of course, my picks for the week on Sportsbook. But yeah, so that covers what I feel are, all the best options for. I mean, I gave you pretty much a big list of options, but, if I'm going to give you a player's name, might as well say why along with the price. So that's it for, what is that? The coming up week 8. What are we week 8 already? Are we week 8? Or is it week 7? Man, this football season flew by fast. But yeah, that's the end of the slate right there for us. And yeah, week seven's upon us, and running backs and quarterbacks are done. As I said, wide receivers and tight ends go hand in hand, and then obviously, I'll just do my best to give y'all my pick for my cheap defense. And yeah, that'll be it. So part 2 tomorrow night around 7ish. Take some time to publish the video. So video will probably be out somewhere between 8 and 9. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So ladies and gents, have a good night. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. This is Grade A Fantasy. Signing off.